What would you do if an immortal beast threatens to cause absolute destruction? In the Dragon Constellation, the one thing more dangerous than the enemy is not knowing who to trust. Discover the epic fantasy battle where love and loyalty are subjected to lawless magic. Sounds like a wild ride, right? I just had to find out more about this epic fantasy book and the author who wrote it. So join us as we dig into this book and I get up close and personal with the author. Let's break this down the Litdulterous way. Welcome back to Litdulterous readers. I'm your host, Stacey, and I want to give a massive thank you for James for agreeing to come on my podcast today. Thanks for coming on, James.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I really enjoy your podcast, so I'm very happy to talk to you here.
Oh, thank you. I know I am extra. I understand that, but some people enjoy that. So I'm glad that you do. So why don't we start by introducing who you are as an author, what type of books you write, and a quick spoiler-free synopsis of your amazing novel.
Yes, that would be great. So I am James Voorhees, the author of the Ambassador Chronicles series. The Dragon Constellation, which we'll primarily be talking about today, is book one in the trilogy. I started writing as I was working on the front line during the pandemic.
Wow.
And I would wake up every morning at 3 a.m. and was wide awake, but needed to be quiet. So I just put on headphones and listened to music and looked at old travel pictures and thought of the people in my life who I wasn't able to see and just refused to accept that I was stressed out. I found that when I went to work, I was surrounded by heroes, and that just became something that was a constant thought in my head. And it reminded me of my whole life. My dad was a firefighter, and
Oh, wow.
you grow up knowing heroes, so you can't help but have that ingrained in you. But as other people were joining the fight, it just became so evident to me that anyone and everyone can be the hero. So I took all of that and just started creating, or I better said, allowing whatever came into my head, and decided to start writing it down because I was really enjoying the imagination that was coming to me. So I wrote the Dragon Constellation, and it takes place 2,000 years in the future, where the immortal vampire Thaddeus is searching out his lost love for the 9th lifetime. In that process, he comes across a prophecy that tells of the end of all of time and space. He happens to be the last immortal that showed up to destroy mankind, but chose not to because he found something within mankind, that lost love, that he couldn't exist without. So as a punishment to him, the Enlightenment sends the jeweled dragon to now take out not just humanity, but all of time and space, so that that lost love will never return to him. And that's where we begin.
Boy, it was wild. It was absolutely wild. I loved how you pieced everything together. It was absolutely magnificent. And I wasn't expecting it to be this way either. It was great. I really enjoyed it. So, one thing, you start off the book with this hooded figure, and he dries off when he goes inside of this building because there's obviously magic. And then when he comes back outside and it's raining and he gets wet again, he giggles. And that made me giggle because I'm like, do men giggle? Do you giggle?
I giggle a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And I give side eye a lot, and I roll my eyes a lot. And a lot of the characteristics of all the characters might or might not have come from me and the people in my life. But yes, giggling is good. One of the fun things for me about that scene is there are several characters that are often hooded.
Yeah.
And fashion and art, aside from travel and music, are big inspirations for me. And the idea that a hooded reveal just kills a scene, and it's like a awe moment.
It is.
And you don't know who that character is yet. But
No.
as you read further, there are potentials for who it could be. But the giggling, once you get to know the characters, definitely gives away who it is.
Yeah, it does. But it was the way you wrote that because most I've noticed with male authors tend to write chuckled and you wrote giggled. And I'm like, I already knew I was going to love your book because your personality just was coming right through. And I'm like, yes, please, more of this. And you didn't disappoint, which I
Good.
love. So there's a part in the book where you write that the monk tasted gross. And I absolutely loved that. Loved it. Now, what foods do you think the monk should have been eating to taste better? And are they the
Probably
kind of
won't.
foods that you enjoy?
Yeah, he's probably should have had a little more natural organic, but that particular monk happens to be very lazy and yeah, probably was working a little more processed food. So when vampire feeds on the monk, he does not appreciate the meal. The irony of that is vampires lost love, and you'll learn this quick enough for me to not have to tell you it's a spoiler, happens to be the character monk.
Yeah.
So it's kind of playing off of, well, this one's gross, but how about that one?
I liked it because normally vampires is just like, well, you're drinking blood. Blood is blood, but you took it a step further, and I really love that. I'm like, how brilliant is that? But what foods do you enjoy? What do you like to eat?
I really like to cook, and
Yeah.
it's kind of yeah, and it's a little bit of a battle here at home as to like, "Oh, let's just go out," because we live in a place where restaurants are very easy to get to. You can walk everywhere, and
Oh, that's
but I
nice.
really enjoy cooking, and the running joke is that you'll never get the same meal twice because I kinda cook with what I have ingredient-wise, but yes, there are a lot of vegetables and some grilled meats, and I'm a big fan of potatoes no matter how you cook them.
Nice.
So, yeah, but once a week is definitely pizza night. I am going for pizza.
So do you think that if he'd have bitten you, he would have enjoyed the taste?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, no doubt in my mind. Plus, you would've gotten a lot of red wine out of that too, so
Slightly tipsy as well. I love it. I love it. That's brilliant. So you mentioned in the book a few times Art Nouveau when it comes to the buildings, and I really enjoyed that because it felt like you were giving me. I felt like I understood the story and the scene that you were setting a little better. Now, are you a fan of art in general, or is it just architecture?
that particular scene began from a travel that I was in Brussels, Belgium,
Well,
and
I
I
love
looked at
Belgium.
this building, and I looked up, and I just saw the scene start. From there, it just created the City of Witches, which is where that scene takes place.
Yeah,
That's, that character going through, and as he enters the building, he's magically dry, and he comes back out in the rain, and he's wet again. But that whole scene came from just that building, and I was
incredible.
just so awestruck by so many things I've experienced in my travels. Like, I love the city of Barcelona because I feel like it's just one huge piece of art. Like, even the
Yeah.
streetlights are designed by Gaudi,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, just to see that and be like, "How could you not be inspired if it just gives you a smile?" But to be able to be more creative based on what you're experiencing in life, that kind of art is huge for me. And as I referenced before, fashion, like, I don't like to have a lot of stuff. I'm kind of a minimalist, but my closet is pretty full and I wear it all.
My God, I love that. I am not a girly girl. I literally live in the same stained hoodies because I have kids. So like trying to get dressed up in fashionista is just not it's just not a thing for me. But you mentioned that you like to travel. So have you ever been to the UK and been to Canterbury and seen all the cathedrals?
Yes, yes, yes,
So traveling's like your thing.
yes, absolutely. There was a month I live currently in Miami Beach, and when I
I,
moved here 10 years ago, before I started working, I was like, "You know what? Backpack, let's go." And spent 2 months just traveling around, whether I was seeing friends in London or Paris or on the Amalfi Coast or just figuring out the rest of it as, "Okay, we have 3 days. What's an easy place to get to on the way?"
yeah.
And just enjoying the journey, and it really became just that, and it really helped for me in something as grand, and I'll use the word epic, maybe it's egotistical, but I'll use it,
No.
to this story and this kind of quest to understand that life is the journey. And
Yeah.
the characters that you come across through that are really worth experiencing and worth engaging in and worth keeping up with, because that fun and that banter that just happens from a natural interaction
Yeah.
is priceless.
For sure. Oh my God, you have the best answers. Love
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
That's incredible. I did a lot of traveling when I lived, 'cause I'm from the UK. Traveling from the UK is easy and very cheap. Traveling from
Yeah.
Canada, not so much. No. Just even the tank of gas to get to the next city over is the price of a flight and a hotel in Europe.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband's like, "We should travel." I'm like, "Where are you gonna go? You need to literally have, like, bars of gold to travel from here."
Exactly. You need to get to the end of the rainbow and find that pot.
Yeah, like that, it's insane. So I actually quite miss traveling. So reading your book actually, I felt a little nostalgic for, because that's what it reminded me of. Your book actually reminded me of Canterbury in Kent, because that's where I
Oh,
went to
yeah, good.
school. I went to university there. I'm from Kent, so I was like, oh, I was having all these flashbacks. That was nice for me.
Well, the book takes place 2,000 years in the future, and I will share that it does take place in what becomes Europe. And one of the fun things for us to do was to create the map of this new world. And part of it was based off of scientific expectations of what the world might look like, and others were just a little more artistic interpretation of what we did and where. But
Yeah.
there's definitely throughout the series, it takes place in Europe in what I'm calling 2,000 years in the future, and it's a good place and a bad place, but it's definitely a place full of magic and interest.
It was very good. I wanted to live there. I was afraid, but I could kind of see myself walking down the street. So it was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So for me, you have a serious aversion to writing names of characters throughout this book. I kind of found it charming. I actually found it very easy, because trying to remember people's names, like, it gets a little much after a while. But what made you decide to keep calling them just vampire and monk and seer through most of the way through the book?
So it was an evolution. Initially, it was for me to keep them in line as to who's who and doing what. I'm sure any other fantasy writer with world building and epic quests, like there's a lot of moving pieces.
Oh, yeah.
So at first it was just, okay, let's just leave it at this for now. But then I came up with a reason why we don't use names in this story. And
Yeah.
it has to do with the magic systems.
Right.
It's not revealed immediately, but it is very funny because I get so much feedback from people. And yeah, I don't know if I can say four-letter words, but and because of that, it kind of fuels me to leave it, because if you're so viral about your reaction, like you're gonna keep reading and then you leave the, oh, they don't have real names. And but I like this about the story. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll take it. But it is also funny to me that it's still a name,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
just also a title, I guess.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's not a formal name is the thing that some people get so wrapped up in. But fortunately, it also helps keep them reading along, and they then find something within the story that they're very drawn to, wanting to continue with.
To know if you actually named them in the end. That kept me going. I needed to know whether or not I was actually gonna, and when I found them out, I was like, "Cool.
Well, the
Thank you."
funny thing about that is they are all named, but they're all named in the prequels.
You
The
sneaky, sneaky
right,
man.
you rat, in the Ambassador Chronicles. So all of their short stories reveal their names.
Oh, you're a snake. I really enjoyed it though, because I have a problem. I do like fantasy books. I read a lot of fantasy, but I find that people like to make up names, and they make up these really outlandish names, or they'll write a bunch of letters and go, "Oh, it's Dave." I'm like, "What? How did you get Dave from that?" And that drives me insane. So actually knowing that you had just left them at their titles actually helped me a ton.
Okay.
You helped this simpleton out over here by not making things overly complicated. I could concentrate on the story, which I really enjoyed, by the way. But who was
Awesome.
your favorite character and why? And would you go out for dinner with them?
Trust me, it's a big table. We're all going. You're welcome to come. And it's how I host a party. It's I can't have like two couples over. It's like, but what about and what about and what about? So
Yeah.
everybody's coming. But who was my favorite character to write? Not to cop out. It changes. It changes as the story evolves. And not just because you're searching for someone's arc. It's just they reveal themselves at different times in the story.
Yeah.
And I'll say for the storytelling, but I never really intentionally wrote any of the characters with the purpose of, oh, we need this type of character. It's just that's who showed up in here and from whatever inspiration in the moment. And that's who made their way into the story and just continued to grow as part of the team.
No, I love that
But
answer.
I will say there is a simple fan favorite, and it's definitely Tinker.
Yeah, I love yeah, same. I actually did quite like Monk too, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was awesome. There's always gotta be that character in there that just wins you over no matter what. You just can't
Yeah,
help
yeah.
yourself.
And it's fun for me to have people identify with an individual character. And my initial goal, and like I was saying before, is like here I am surrounded by these heroes, and starting this storytelling is that anybody can be the hero in whatever
Yeah,
point in their life and whatever's going through, just being able to identify yourself as that. But it's fun for me because these characters are so different from one another that different people seem to point out that this is who I am, this is who I am. And I really like that.
yeah,
There's basically two generations of characters. And again, it wasn't intentional, it was just how the storytelling happened. But
yeah,
there's like your group in the 40s and 50s up to immortal, and then you have that group in their 20s.
yeah,
Uh, and it's kind of fun to see all that sort of generational interaction.
yeah. I loved it. I thought it was very clever. One of the things that you really nailed for me too was the banter between the characters. I thought it was really clever. I thought it was very engaging. I felt like I could be having a conversation with them too. Now, do you find yourself getting into debates with people you know in this way? And which character do you think is most like you?
So banter is huge in my life, and it's not like I'm trying for it. It just happens. I don't know if it's the house I grew up in and everybody always had something. And ironically, I'm the quiet one in my family. And when I say that to people, they're like, there's no way. But then when they meet my family, like, oh, I get it. And yeah. So there's always been wit and just sharp action going back and forth. And it's been a very fun way to grow up. But I find that people I am surrounded by also engage.
Yeah.
So it's just something very normal for me. So you write what you know.
Yeah.
And but what's funny is in the editing process, a lot of the banter, which I have to say, can just go on for no reason. Let's get back to the story. I had to sort of take some of it out on the advice of the people. And no, not in a bad way. It's kind of like I recently rewatched the Lord of the Rings movies,
Oh,
but like
yeah.
the director's cuts,
Ooh.
and I'm like, there's a reason we cut this stuff out. Like it's nice to see the new pieces that I hadn't seen before. But if I go back to the edited version, I'm like, yeah,
It's
that's definitely the
clean.
way to tell this story.
Yeah. I get it. I absolutely get that. But I was really enjoying the way they were communicating with each other, and it felt so real. It felt like I was sitting in a room with people I knew. And I loved that. And that's really hard to pull off for me because a lot of the times I find that books try to oversell what they're saying to try and make it sound more polished. And it felt realistic. And I needed that. And I didn't know I needed it until I read your book. That's
Oh,
impressive.
thanks. It's fun. It's the editing process is important, even though I hate it. I just want to like write it and be done and here, thank you. But it's very important, especially when you have like this ensemble.
Yeah.
of 10 characters that everyone needs their voice, needs their arc, needs their purpose in the story. And like they showed up in the writing as presenting like they're going to be part of it. And you can't just kill people off because they have nothing else to say. And why are
Yeah.
they here to begin with? So
Yeah.
adding all that in and making sure that everyone has their purpose in that, and whether it's to be part of the banter or to to shut it down or whatever it is, um, it adds for the fun for me, and it does make it very realistic because when you're having that conversation, it's you're at a party and then somebody's got to say, "Okay, enough."
Yeah. I thought it was great. I really did. That was one of the things I mentioned to my husband because he loves books like this. And he was like, please
Weird.
tell me that the conversation's real. And I'm like, oh, yes, it's real. You're going to love it. So I told him he could borrow it if he takes care of it when I'm done. So he
I
will
can get him his
definitely be
own if you
reading soon.
want. I know a
So,
guy.
do you? I love that. I love that you signed my copy too. That always makes me smile too.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. So, your book has vampires, sorcerers, seers, monks, witches, and then you brought in the dragon. And I was like, he's trying to give me a heart attack. All of these mythical creatures. So clearly that you love the mythical beings. So which one's your favorite and why?
I really have to say that that dragon is pretty fabulous.
Oh, yes.
She's rocking.
Oh, yeah.
But as a whole, find that magic systems are so interesting because with any of those creatures, I feel you owe the reader, you're obligated to give the reader what they expect to some degree. Like a vampire is going to suck blood. But there is I felt like I didn't have to go by all the rules. And with the magic systems, you're able to create rules. You just have to stay grounded in the rules that govern that.
Yeah.
So, but I do feel as though when the expectation of, as an example, a vampire shows up, there are things that the vampire can't do that. And then there's garlic and holy water and being in the sun. And there's a whole scene when the vampire is in the sun and somebody's like, uh-oh. And he's like, yeah, that was not real. So like knowing that people think this, like the characters acknowledging it, it's almost like they're looking at the camera and be like, yeah, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
So that was fun to do. But like with the witches, the magic systems evolved so nicely for me. And it was something that I actually looked into and researched and created to have the different pieces fit in well. And I really enjoyed building that.
Well,
So I'm
you
going to
did
go
a
with the
really
witches.
good job. You did a really
No,
good job. You had so many elements. Like a lot of people, when they're reading, there's certain things they need to cling to, but you kept adding these layers in there and they just smoothed in just in such a way that you didn't realize that you'd packed so much in till I got to the end and I'm like, you packed in so much and it
a
didn't
lot.
feel heavy because that
Good.
happens with some books, right? When they load it full of tropes or they load it full of like all this stuff's happening and you just can't quite keep up. But I didn't realize just how much you've done until I got to the end and I was like, holy mackerel. Wow. That was impressive. That was
Well, thanks.
impressive.
I think part of it comes from my ignorance. I was not part of the publishing world. I was not part of the writing world. This story presented itself to me, and I decided once I got it to a point where I was like, I'm really enjoying this. I was writing it at 3 in the morning because I needed an escape.
Yeah.
And I realized this escape could be something enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah.
So, in that process, just building and editing appropriately to keep the story going, but still fill it up with magic and fun and adventure was something that I really didn't know how to make heavy. But
Yeah.
I do know for me, I personally don't care for the big epic fantasy books that start with 100 pages of how this mountain was formed. And then we find out that the mountain is something that comes up 3 books later that we forgot about.
Yeah.
I want to get right into the action.
Yeah.
And setting the scene is sometimes difficult for me because I'm already starting with the dialogue.
Yeah. I think it kind of worked. I notice a lot of fantasy readers now, they need you to pull them in so many pages. Other books, you can get away with it taking some time, but fantasy readers now want to know what's going on immediately. They need to be hooked, or they'll just put your book down. And I think you did a really good job of
Good.
gripping me enough that I was like, okay, I'm invested. So I think you
Good.
did it right. I really do. Now, one thing I am going to say is I didn't see that twist coming with vampire and monk. Now, what made you decide to add that twist in? Because I didn't even see any hints. And I'm like, ooh, you sneak. I didn't see that
Yeah.
coming.
He's sketchy, isn't he? It's sketchy being me, not them. Well, them too.
Well, maybe about both.
When I originally laid out the story, I realized that there was, for me, a natural break at the end here. And
Yeah.
then from book 2 to 3, another point where I could break it. And at that point where I had it laid out, the Dragon Constellation was probably about 80% done. The second book in the series, which is called The Nine Circles, was probably about 50% done. And I knew where it ended for the third
Yeah.
book. So I already was working towards leaving it at that point, which we're not going to talk any further about because it's a spoiler.
Yeah. No spoilers.
But it was it was the right moment to then step into the next book.
Yeah. It was just, I was like, you had this way of just like, but when you portrayed it, I was like, "Oh, it kinda makes sense now," but I didn't see it coming until that point. So I thought that
Yeah.
was a really clever, like, plot device that you used right there, and I was really worried you were gonna leave this on, like, such a big cliffhanger to the point that I was gonna cry myself to sleep, which is not good for me, but
I
you
don't want
also
anyone to cry themselves to sleep.
but lots of people love having these big cliffhangers to leave us all, like, hooked. I'm hooked enough that I need book 2, but you didn't cause me physical pain knowing that I had to wait for it. 'Cause you answered enough, but you've kept me intrigued. Now, why don't you give us just some teasers, don't spoil anything, of what we can expect from the next book?
Well, in book 2, which is called The Nine Circles, whoops.
Ooh, look at that one.
Yeah, it it gets a little darker. The character's journey, each individual journey, the enemy becomes almost internal. Even though we still have the pending doom of the dragon, the jeweled dragon flying around and seeing what's happening, but the characters have different individual journeys that then they need to come back together as a team. So it definitely was interesting for me to put it together in this way because things are taking place in different dimensions, in different times. I will say that there is an aspect of it where we explore monk and vampires' 8 previous lives together,
Yeah,
to understand what went wrong.
yeah.
If I'm gonna define tropes in the series, definitely a found family, second chances, the morally gray character,
Yes.
and they're kind of fun to write. Beyond that, I will say that it too will leave you with a bit of a cliffhanger just to bring it into the 3rd book.
I don't mind
And
little
that 3rd
ones.
book is due out, later this year.
Well, that's incredible. I love that. You have this way of, like, teasing without really saying anything. It's a very clever skill you got there.
Why,
So,
thank you.
if you could pick any celebrity, and I mean anybody in the world, to narrate your book, who would you pick and why?
Wow, what a hard question. I feel like it would need to be someone who can pull off. I mean, there are 10
Boy.
main characters in this book, so that's already a ventriloquist, right? But somebody who's gonna have to have the ability to play both masculine and feminine and, like, uber masculine and strong feminine.
Yep. That's a tall order.
It is. Like, I would have to go with, like, the sultry potential, definitely an accent. I'm thinking sort of like Benjamin Cumberbatch or Kate Blanchett,
Yeah.
someone along those lines, who would
Yeah.
definitely be able to give enough to all of these voices to keep them separate, and then all the other characters that show up.
Yeah, you have a lot of points of views. There's lots of people, but one thing I will note is that you managed to keep I didn't forget anybody. Like, it wasn't like, "Oh,
Oh,
I forgot you were here." It didn't feel you managed to keep it in such a way that I didn't feel overwhelmed, which was really nice. I'm normally
good.
are like 1 or 2 points of view main characters, but this one actually it worked really well. So kudos to you for that. Now, what was the most unexpected encounter? What challenged you the most while writing this book?
The publishing process.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine.
Like, writing the story, the story came to me in pieces, not like it was linear. And
Yeah.
again, here's something I had to learn about myself. I am a pantser, and once I get to the point that I have to plot out the story, pantser meaning you write by the seat of your pants and you just kind of write whatever comes in your head, and plotters kind of lay out the story and then
Yeah.
get into the writing process. If you're a pantser, whether you like it or not, at some point you're a plotter because you have to connect those dots.
Yeah.
And if you just keep pantsing, now you're going all the way over here. And now this is what's getting edited out.
Yeah.
So just keep the story going. And that becomes an issue for me because it's not how I think when I'm writing.
Yeah.
But I've learned, I had to, that it's inevitable. So I have to know that when I get to that point, this is where I'm at. And just
Yeah.
let's get these 2 points connected.
It's funny because I had no idea that there were different kinds of writers. Doing these interviews, I've learned so much. And yeah, there was one lady, she was like, "Oh no, I have to start at the very last chapter and work my way back. Otherwise I can't write." I'm like, "So you start at the ending and work backwards?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like,
Yeah, I believe it.
"Whoa." It
For
blew
me,
my mind.
the first thing I wrote, it was to a song that I kept playing on repeat, and it was
Ooh.
an intimate scene between vampire and monk and the final battle scene in book 3. And to the same song.
That's incredible, but it shows me that there is no right or wrong way to write a book. I thought you start at the beginning, you have your characters, you get to the end. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. So you guys are all so different. And I think that's really amazing because you all write very different stories too. So obviously your process is going to be completely different.
Yeah, yeah. And then even within it, like I was saying, when I was challenged to write the prequel stories, it was such a great exercise for me because I was able to now explore more about the characters.
Yeah.
And there was one of the characters who I did not like him at all. I didn't like anything about him. He needed to be there as part of the story because I
Yeah.
already wrote the final battle scene and I know what was happening. But I did not like him, so I had to make him so physically attractive
Oh,
to make it worth having him in, and then when I wrote his prequel story, which was actually the first prequel story, he's 6 years old, and coming forward from that point, I was like, "Oh, you poor baby." I'm like, "Ah, now I get it. Now I get it. You're still gonna be gorgeous, but I get it. I get it." It gave me so much more for him.
see, this is why I love it when authors write prequels because you learn things that you didn't know. And one of the things that I actually really like is a character that I really didn't like. Finding out the reason why they're like that, and then I feel really bad. And they're
Yeah,
fictional
so did the
characters.
writer.
Yeah, well, they're fictional characters, and you're like, oh, now I owe you an apology. I don't know how I'm going to get that to you.
You'll be alright.
Oh my God, I love it. So as a reader, I really get excited when I meet authors. You guys are like my rock stars. So can you describe a memorable interaction that you've ever had with a reader?
Yes. So it was very fun. This past year, we've done a lot of promotion for the series.
Yeah.
We did an event here in Miami Beach with the Dragon Constellation. We did an event in Jersey City, which I'm from New Jersey, for the Ambassador Chronicles. And then for the Nine Circles, we did an event in Sydney, Australia, which was great.
Yeah.
So those were all fun. But we also participated in Printers Row Lit Fest in Chicago and the Miami Book Fair here in Miami.
That's so cool.
When we were in at the Miami Book Fair, these people came up and it was a family and they were like, the parents and 2 daughters, and they were all in their 20s, the kids. And the they were looking at the books and we were talking, and then the dad had come over after and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy. This is the one Brielle's talking about." And I'm like, who's Brielle? And he has no idea who I am at this point. And he's like, yeah, yeah, this is the guy Brielle met in Chicago. She loves these books. I'm like, I love Brielle. Let's get her on the phone. It turns out these were like Brielle's cousins and aunt and uncle. And Brielle was putting up Christmas decorations at the time and couldn't get off the roof. But I was like, hi, Brielle, thanks. Like waving on FaceTime from the ground level. And she's up there. But I just thought it was so cool. I'm like, okay, this is fun. This is fun. And the other thing is like when people come up at these events and they're like, I know this name. I must know your other series. Well, how do I know you? How do I know you? And then they stop and like TikTok. I guess it works to keep posting.
Oh my God, I love that. See, I would be terrible. People would never get away from me. You come over and tell me that you're a little bit of a fan, that would be it. You're mine now. I'm keeping you.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible. How does that make you feel when these people are loving your work?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It really does. You know, when you write and you're kind of by yourself, at
Yeah,
least in your head. I mean, all your new friends, all the characters, but when it's out there and you're getting feedback from people that they get it, and
yeah,
when you write with the intent that you want everyone to be seen in this story, you want them
yeah,
to feel like they own this character because it's someone who they feel they are,
yeah.
and they can carry that through the whole story. It's very special to have people react so positively and again say, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad it is.
That's incredible. I love that. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it for you. That's awesome. I do have a question though. Do you read people's reviews about your books online?
Yes, I do. One, just you kind of want to know if people get it
Yeah.
and if you wrote it the way for people to get it. I read appropriate reviews with a sense of responsibility. Like if people didn't understand something, I'll take it as being my fault for not expressing it properly.
Right.
But at the same time, I'll also know what's coming. And if they're sitting there like, I hate this part, I hate this cliffhanger or this moment that I didn't get, I'm like, well, hold on, because it's coming. So I'm happy to see that they're still lingering in it.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you'll have people who just, it's not their thing, and that's fine. But I've gotten good reviews from people, and I really appreciate them when they do it. Getting a review is the hardest thing. And I promised myself from the beginning, I wasn't going to just like get 50 people and be like, here, post this.
Yeah.
It happens, and I get it because it helps. It helps in the marketing, it helps in the sales for people to know that your book's even there. But I just, feel so like this series is so mine, so my heart that I just want it to be true to whoever does take it
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
It's believe it or not, I have two facets, right? So I'm a book influencer and a book reviewer, and I'm very mindful of the difference between both. And I hear from authors, they send out 500 copies of their book to art readers and only 10% review. That must be crushing. That must be
Well,
absolutely crushing.
the good part is didn't e- I didn't know that I had to do that. And now that I do, I'm like, okay, this is with the prequels, this will be the fourth book in the series that's coming out. What do I do? Do I send out like a bunch of the Dragon Constellations and like start here? Do I send out the Ambassador Chronicles short stories and say start there? Or do I just send them the last book and be like, I know you're
Good
lost,
luck.
but yeah.
I know that like St. Martin, I influence a lot for St. Martin's Press, and they had a series that was out and it's got like 30 something books, and they sent me book 38. And I was like, okay, but do I have to read the other like 37 books first? And they're like, they work as standalones. And I think if it could kind of work as a standalone, you're okay. But I think you need all your backstory. So yeah, I don't know where you'd
Yeah.
start with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't even know I was supposed to do that. But anyone that I have sent it to, I've definitely appreciated their getting back to me with it.
Yeah.
And posting their reviews and putting them out there and writing them up, and it's always, for any author, it feels so good to get the feedback
Yeah.
and to know that someone is getting something out of your story.
Yeah.
Like when people, other writers come to me, the indie author community is so tight and it's so open. I mean, that's both sides, right? Because people are so genuinely invested in what each other's doing and
Yeah.
gracious about it. I've met some amazing writers and some people who I really enjoy what they're doing. And when people ask you to read and write a review, I'm always, if I agree to do it, if I can, I always make sure to do it.
Yeah.
And I know that others, like I said, who I've offered books to have done it for me as well. So I appreciate that.
No, it's a beautiful community. I'm pretty lucky. I've interviewed quite a few authors over the last year, and they always find new authors for me to do this with too. Some of them get a little shy. They send me their books. I'm like, I'm ready. And they're like, oh no, I can't do video. And I'm like, that's okay. I can find other ways to help. So I know your community is so great, and I really love that. Now, one thing I'm going to ask, who designed your cover? Who did this?
The greatest artist of all time. My covers are designed, all of the art associated with anything with James Voorhees or the Dragon Constellation or the Ambassador Chronicle series is all done by Jose Ramery, who happens to also be my partner.
Was hoping you were going to know this person. It's beautiful. I
I
love
know
it.
him very well. Yes. And it's really funny how, like, over here is kind of the banner that you kind of can't see. I can turn
I
that
can
a
see it.
little,
I can see it.
which
Yeah.
is the same as the cover of the book, of that book. And like when we go to these events and we take that and people come running for
Yeah.
the artwork and all of
It's
it that
gorgeous.
he's done. It's
It's
so amazing.
gorgeous. Is that what he
Gorgeous.
does for a living? Is he an artist?
Nope. I know. This is something we're working on. I'm a physical therapist and he's an accountant. Um, but this is, yeah. And then we created this little publishing company world and it's called Bonfire Books and we're just running with it. So we're
Oh
enjoying it.
my God. I love it. Because the one thing that I do enjoy about books is I do judge books by their covers. It's one of the
Yes.
things I'm well known for because sometimes I don't even read the synopsis. I don't pay attention to who wrote it. I look at the cover and go, yes, I vibe you. And when this arrived for me, I'm like, you have my heart, my friend. I'm like, because I was hoping you wasn't going to say AI because that would have broken me a little bit. But I'm
No,
really
no.
happy now.
And it's funny because like when I had this story started and I had the Dragon Constellation, the original version, there were a couple big changes that happened. Originally, the title was The Seven Deadly Sins, and it had to do with the initial characters. And then it was a very different cover that I had kind of put together. And then as I was moving along in this process was when we met and we were talking about this. And I think it was the third or fourth conversation we had that it's like, he sat me down and he's like, I need to tell you something serious. I'm like, oh God, what's going on? We just met. And he's like, I really think we should change the title and the cover of the book. I'm like, okay. So it's, yeah, and he's done an amazing job with it, and the feedback is just as great as yours, and always. And I like when he asked me for like, what do you think? I'm like, don't ask me. You did it, and everyone already loves it, and it's selling books, so let's keep it up.
It really
I
is
love all the covers.
good.
I do. I
Oh,
love them all.
it's beautiful with its simplicity. It's not trying to feed me a story. It's telling me to read your story, and
Yeah,
that's really clever. That is so clever. I'm buzzing right now. I'm like, yes, thank
awesome.
you. So you can tell him from me that he did an absolutely wonderful job, and he's in the wrong career. He needs
I will definitely tell him.
even if he moves into just designing book covers, like I feel that with my soul. He helped sell your book to me and you finished it beautifully. So you make sure he
I
knows
know.
that. Make sure he knows
Yeah.
that. So you've already told me that you kind of fly by the seat of your pants while you're writing, but you must have had something, a plot idea in your head. Your original story, how different is it to what you published?
So as I'm now finishing that final battle scene that I wrote originally as one of the first things, there are definitely differences and changes to it, but not to the point that it doesn't end the same.
Okay.
The process has changed. There is a particular character who initially I had killed off, but that particular character has found their way into being necessary through the storytelling.
Yeah.
And as the story evolved, that character's arc has evolved and became necessary to get where we need to go.
Love it.
And there are some really, really strong aspects that I feel improve as you move along this storytelling. I
Yeah.
agree with the writer who kind of started at the end and worked backwards because you always, at some point, have to know where you're ending.
Yeah.
And for me, getting there has been so much fun. But by being a pantser, it allows me to be open to it evolving.
Yeah.
So it's been very fun to see the changes and sometimes be a little resistant. I mean, I'll hold on to my Taurus roots. I am, it's right, it's right. But when it needs to change and make the story better, you need to let it.
I'm
Sorry, writers, that's for all of us.
Yeah. I'm a Leo, and I find that my first opinion tends to be where I'm stuck. So I could never be a writer because it would be, "No, this is happening my way. It can't change. This is it." I'm very stubborn that way. But I thought I really enjoyed the journey that you took me on. But I have a question for you. Are you an avid reader? And if you are, what book got you into reading?
So I've become more of an avid reader, and it's really because I'm part of this community and the
Really?
people who I engage with. And I
Nice.
have discovered some really, really good stuff. Lately, I've been reading horror short stories and like the kinds of things that you think, oh, don't do this at night in the storm. But that's when you want to, because that's when it's really that kind of
Yeah.
emotion. There's a book called Folklore and Flesh by Willie Martinez, and another one called The Artist by AJ Rhino. And I finished those and I really liked them. And like, I know both of them are coming out with other stuff. So it's really fun. But for me, my journey into fantasy reading happened because my parents years ago, many years ago, were going on a cruise. And my dad had gone to the library, as he always would, to get books to take and read on the boat. And I was dropping them off at the port. And he's like, "Oh, these are the books I got." And I was like, "Dad, it's Harry Potter. These are kids' books." And he's like, "They told me this would be great." And my dad was an avid reader and my mom was an avid reader. And like he loved fantasy and my mom was all about the Hallmark stuff, but he was all about fantasy and action and spies. And I was like, "Okay, enjoy, have a nice cruise." Then, like, stupid me, right? And then they get off the boat on their way back. I pick them up. They get in the car. He doesn't say a word to me except, "You need to read these books." And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, "Oh, okay." And then I did.
Yeah.
And then I kept reading them.
Yeah.
And then I did start reading more and more and more. Fantasy's always been something that I've been interested in. Like I was sitting there and that summer of '77 looking at the screen at Star Wars and thinking it gets no better than this.
Yeah.
Um so I really my mind is in that and I feel very at home with fantasy and I very much enjoy it. But I am appreciative to being part of an indie author community so that I can understand that there's a lot more and things come to you
Yeah.
through conversations and then you find, "Oh, I really do like this."
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of my journey into reading.
That's incredible. I love that. It's funny because you mentioned a lot of fantasy books, but you didn't really mention sci-fi. And if you're
Yeah.
ever going to dabble, you have to try Project Hail Mary. You have to. That book, I'm not much of a sci-fi reader. It's probably my least read genre. I read them all. But it's probably my
Okay.
least read. And I did the audiobook. Someone's like, you have to do the audiobook. And oh my gosh, now I'm on this journey to find everything that has anything sci-fi in it at all. So if you're going to give it a go, let me know what you think because
I
honestly, it
will, I
might be one of
will.
the best books ever written. One of the best
Right now,
sci-fi books.
yeah, the other thing I'm finishing right now is Joe Abercrombie's The Devils.
Good book.
And it came to me because someone gave a comparison of the Dragon Constellation to the Devils. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of it has to do with the banter and
Yeah.
the
I can see
quest
that.
and the ensemble cast of
Yeah.
quirky craziness.
Yeah. No, I can
So
see
I'm
that.
loving it. I'm loving the book.
No, I think Joe Probably's brilliant, brilliant author. Oh, this is so exciting. So you didn't like start out your life as being this like kid under the blanket with a torch, flashlight. That's crazy. Oh my God, that's so crazy. I'm realizing now that some of my literary edition, this or that questions may not really apply to you then. If you don't,
Oh, let's see.
yeah, let's see where you land because this is going to be interesting. So, do you prefer reading hardcover books or do you use an e reader?
I prefer a hardcover.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
makes sense. But you don't dog ear your pages, right? You use a bookmark like a civilized person.
Oh, I would say I used to because I would be like reading on the run, but now that we have books, we also have bookmarks with our QR code to the website. So I always have one of them around.
Okay,
So
good.
I'll use them. Unless I gave it to somebody and now I have to dog ear the book.
I was talking to a lady the other day. She was like, "Oh, I don't use bookmarks, but I'll use a receipt, a dollar bill, scrap of paper out of something." She stole her husband's driver's license and he couldn't find it. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know where it is." And then she opened a book. She was like, "Oh." So she went and hid it.
Yeah,
She was like, "Yeah, I had to go like slip it somewhere and go, oh, look, it's over here." I'm
don't
glad
admit
you
that
don't
one.
dog it. I'm glad you don't dog it. So you obviously, when you write your books, you probably use a laptop, but do you ever write anything down with a pen and paper?
Oh, Stacey, my penmanship is so butt awful that, like, honestly, I feel like I can't even read it sometimes. I couldn't. And I'm left-handed, so I'm always like with
Yeah.
the marks on my hand. So it's laptop. It has to be. I used to always have paper with me, paper and a pen to just jot notes,
Yeah.
standing in line or whatever. And now, thank God for a cell phone where you can just type into notes or
Yeah.
even like voice record. But yeah, I save myself so much time from not having to decipher my own penmanship.
I'm with you. My handwriting is atrocious. My husband's like, "You should have been a doctor. No one can read your damn handwriting." Because I gave him a
Yeah,
shopping list. He's like, "Just text me in future. Just text what you're after." He's like, "Because I don't know what this word is." I'm like, "It says tomatoes." He's like, "That's not a T. How am I supposed
yeah.
to get tomatoes from that, sweetheart?" So I'm with you.
I just
I
copy him.
definitely don't write stuff down anymore because I don't know what I'm saying. Now, you've already told me that you prefer to write at nighttime, but when do you sit down to read?
So reading is usually at an airport or on a plane if
Really?
I'm finished what's in my mind to write. Because it's like as soon as this dumps out, it's clear, and until something else fills it up again, it's out, it's done.
It's Etch-a-Sketch brain. I'm exactly the
It is.
same. You shake your head, it's gone.
Right, exactly, and here's the worst,
Feel
like,
you.
I'll be running and I'll have the perfect wording for the perfect scene and everything, and as soon as I get home, I have no idea what I was gonna say.
Oh, it takes that long for you. Mine is if I don't write it down instantly, it's gone.
Yeah.
I walk into rooms, I go, "Why am I here?"
Yes, I do that, or you're driving, you're like, "Where am I going?"
You're automatically driving someplace you normally go, but that's not where you were heading. I've done that a couple
Right,
times recently.
uh-huh, and then you pull in the parking lot being like, "Oh, well, since I'm here."
Yeah, I could use a new book. That tends
Yeah.
to be my excuse now. It's like, "Oh, fate was guiding me to buy more books." I get it. Perfect. My bank doesn't like it, but I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
So do you prefer mountains or beaches?
Um, I love nature, period. I live at the beach, but I do find that I miss mountains. I miss the views and the change. The view changes so much more because of what's happening with the sunlight at a
Yeah.
mountain than at a flat area, no matter where it is. So I really, really enjoy that. And plus, like the temperature changes so much more throughout the day. And I enjoy that.
Well, I'm in Calgary, so I am
Yeah.
literally right on the Rocky Mountains, and honestly, it sounds really romantic. When I first moved here, I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be so whimsical." No, we get the most bizarre weather for 8 months of the year.
I have to shovel.
Yeah, oh, I hate shoveling. It's a good thing I have an adult son to do that for me. But we literally can go in the morning from like -10 to the afternoon, it'll be +20 in the
Yeah.
span of like 8 hours. So you start out in snow pants and you finish the day in a bikini. Well, maybe
Yeah.
not you, but you know what I mean. It gets
Maybe.
so hot, crazy here. I used to live on the beach. I'm from Folkestone originally, so it's a harbor town. And I never thought I'd miss it until I miss it. So it's funny, you
Yeah.
like what you like while you don't have it.
Right.
Crazy. So are you more of a summer or winter person?
I love all the seasons.
Yeah.
We in February, we were up in New Jersey with family, and we had a big snowstorm, and I just sat there like,
Must be different for you.
uh,
You're so used to the heat.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because, like, people when I first moved to Miami, they were like, "In New York, you walk on the sunny side of the street. In Miami, you walk on the shady side of the street."
Yeah. I remember when we went for a visit to LA, we took a trip down there for a couple of weeks and it was like walk into the shops with the air conditioning and you didn't want to leave.
But it's so cold.
But I love that. I don't like snow cold, but air conditioning cold is great. Now, are you a
Charming.
coffee or tea drinker?
Coffee, absolutely. Yeah. Cafe con leche, coffee, yes.
How many cups a day you drinking?
So I'll have 2 in the morning as a general, and then, based on my day, I'll probably have an afternoon one, but that's as much as I'll go. I'm
Yeah,
already, like, riled up, so then I get caffeinated, and it's like, "Oh, let's put him in a box."
yeah. I had to I had to stop drinking coffee. I had to move to tea because I'm a sugar fiend. I can't have my coffee without sugar in it.
So I don't know why anyone would, but yeah.
No, it's yeah. And I'm starting to get to the point now in my old age where you have to be mindful of what you're putting in your body, and it sucks. I don't I don't think anybody should be happy to get to their 40s or 50s because it sucks. But it does for
Well, I
women
can send a
anyway.
vampire to kinda taste and see how you're doing.
I'm fairly certain he would just stop sucking at that point and be like, "Yuck, go eat, get out of here. Go eat clean." Are you more of a cat or dog person?
Oh, allergic to cats, so definitely
Yay!
dog.
I love dogs. I'm not anti-cat, just me and cats look at each other and think, "I'm the boss. No, I'm the boss. No, I'm the boss." So it doesn't work for me. Dogs go, "I love you."
Yeah.
And I like that. Do you prefer stories that have more character-driven plot devices or more about the plot?
So I love characters. I love people, and I'm definitely gonna go with the character driven.
Yeah.
But at some point, the character driven story does have to have a plot driven.
Yeah.
In my perspective. Otherwise, it's a Seinfeld episode, and they're just kind of sitting on the couch, and they're charming, and they're lovely, and they're funny, but they're not doing anything. So yeah. But for me, it starts with the character. It all starts with the character or
I've never
characters.
heard anybody put it like that, and that is just gonna be it now. If you don't have a plot, it's a Seinfeld episode. Okay, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. I love that. Okay. Do you prefer happy endings or bittersweet conclusions?
In life, happy endings.
Always.
In books and movies, I'm gonna go with the bittersweet because it kinda
Ooh.
still leaves it open, even if it takes a veer into a different part of that world, that universe, it still allows for a story to continue, as long as it's still worth telling. Otherwise, it's like, "Okay, enough, move on."
Yeah. 100% agree with that. It's funny because a lot of authors will say, "Well, I prefer happily ever afters to read, but to write, I like to write bittersweet conclusions." I'm like, "Ooh, that's cheeky. I like that too."
Yeah, yeah.
So, last question is, do you prefer to write your stories as originally as you can, or do you write for reader expectations?
I write the original story. Everyone has a story to tell, so tell your story. You're not doing a reader any benefit by only giving them what they expect.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, with like somebody like vampires, like, sure, this one can be in the day. So you can explain that he can be in the day, but you might owe it to the reader. But I think everyone should write the story they're telling and not write the expectation of what the reader is planning on reading.
That.
It's more fun to discover something new.
Love that. I agree with you, but there are so many authors out there that go, "Oh, well, they didn't like this, so I'm going to change it." I'm like, I don't want to read your story unless you're being authentic to the story you wanted to tell in the first place. And you shouldn't have to change for us either. I don't think you should ever have to change your story to somebody's expectations ever.
Just like life and yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
you're writing these characters' lives, and they should be authentic and genuine. They should be true to who they are so that they can continue to speak. And so that somebody out there needs to know that there is a different point of view than what everyone's telling you it should be.
Yeah, that's excellent. So obviously the last book's coming out soon, right? Like sometime this year?
Yeah, it's some point later this year. We're working on the actual date. I'm hoping for one, but I'm not sure.
So you've obviously finished writing it, right? So it's all done and dusted. Okay. So
Well,
what are
it's
you
in the editing process.
Yeah, we all know how that goes. So is that what you're currently working on? Do you have anything else in the pipeline?
Yes. The push was to make sure I got this completed, and like I put these deadlines on myself. I just work better with a deadline.
Me too.
And you can always get distracted by everything else. And it's like, oh yeah, let's take a trip. I was like, okay, let's go. But knowing that you have to get these things done and being disciplined to do it, I think is really important.
Yeah.
But there's another fantasy series that I'm working on. There's something else that's in this universe, in the Ambassador Chronicles universe, that I'm working on. And then I have thoughts about another project that has nothing to do with any of it. So it's fun to be at this point in concluding this story and then exploring other things. It's kind of bittersweet because as the writer, you're
Yeah.
like, but I'll miss these guys.
Yeah.
um, and that's why I like the idea of keeping something in this world, in this universe, still open so that I can go and revisit,
Yeah.
but to then branch out and to find and create new stories, I think is really important too.
Yeah, it is. That's so exciting. I love that. You have a very busy mind and it's always plotting. I love it. So where can readers find your books to buy and where can they find you on your social medias?
So, the books are available all over, from Amazon to any.com where you would go to buy your books. I have a website, jamesvoorhees.com, where we sell the books there as well. And that's fun for me because if someone buys them there and they ask that it be signed, I can sign it,
Yeah.
which I can't do through like Amazon or something. And then like at different events we go to and post all over social media that we're going to be there. So my social medias are James Voorhees author on Instagram and TikTok, and on Facebook is James Voorhees. And like I said, the website jamesvoorhees.com. We have a newsletter so that this way people can be up to the know in what we're doing. And I say we because again, Joey and I do it together.
I love
Um
that. Your team. I love that. I love knowing that you have the kind of support from somebody who makes you a little better. No offense, but he
yeah,
definitely
no,
brings out the better side of you. I love that for you.
you're not wrong.
You can tell him to watch the episode now and he came out on top.
There you go.
I love that. I'm so glad that you came on. I finished your book in pretty much one sitting. I
Cool.
can blame you for me not adulting either. My kids are like, Mom, Mom, Mom. I'm like, shh, Mommy's reading. So it's your fault. I'm in
I'll
the
take
process.
the blame.
You can. I did. I blamed you. I said, you can cut you. I said, you'll probably be off school that day because it's spring break. I'm like, you can tell him how you felt about Mummy not being available. And my daughter
Yeah.
Serenity was like, but is it a good book? I'm like, yes. She was like, I forgive him then. So you were forgiven.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
thank you. I
nice.
appreciate it.
But you want to know what I gave you for star rating? Or do you want to be
Sure, of
surprised?
course.
I gave you 4.5 stars.
Thank you very much. I love it.
It was brilliant. I really loved all the characters too. And it's really hard for someone like me because I like to pick one person to root for. I like to have one person and I love that person. And I was like, oh, but you're over here and oh, I love you over there. And where are you going? So yeah, that was different for me. That was really different. But I really enjoyed this. And I'm so glad that you reached out to do this. And I'm so
Awesome.
glad you sent me your book. And I cannot wait for book 2. So I can get book 2 on Amazon, right?
Yeah, yeah, the 9 circles.
Excellent.
And if you
Perfect.
want the prequels, they're there too. The Ambassador Chronicles.
I might have to do that because I've got questions that need answering now. So I'm hooked.
Ask
Well
me
done.
anytime.
Well done. My husband's gonna be like, you're reading again, I'm going to be, yes, this is what I do. Love. This is it. I'm in. But guys, listeners, I really encourage you, if you are fantasy readers, to grab a copy of James's book, because honestly, you will not be sorry. And even if fantasy is not your genre, that book cover sitting on your trophy shelf is going to look fabulous, and it's going to be a great talking point for you. Don't forget, you can always find me on my social medias. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Litdulterous. You can find me on YouTube, and you can find me anywhere where podcasts are currently airing, because I'm insane and I put it everywhere. Thanks for coming on, James. I really hope that we can
Thank
do
you.
this again soon, maybe when you start your new series. That would be
I love it.
phenomenal, and we can have another talk.
Let's do it.
Excellent. I just found a
This is
new
great.
friend, guys. We hope that you have the reading week that you deserve, and I will catch you next week, readers. Take care.